we are going to be simplifying square roots when we do like Pythagorean theorem and a few different other things. We do it every now and then in geometry, but when you get to Algebra 2, you do it all the time, okay? And so if I can expose it to you a little bit here and a little bit there, you know how we've been working on square roots like every Friday, every other Friday, every now and then, just like, hey, give this a shot, see if you can, see how you do on these, see what you remember. So same with these. If I show you how to simplify them, and every now and then we keep coming back to it, and I show you how to do it, I'm thinking it's going to be a piece of cake by the time we actually get to this content in geometry. And when you're in Algebra 2, it's like that's a chapter, that's a section that you're going to have mastered because you know how to do it. It makes sense. On your paper, off to the side, I'm going to write it on the smartboard. It's also over here on the whiteboard. But you need to have these written down because we want to be able to look through the list real quick and see what numbers divide into here. So we have 1 squared equals 1, 2 squared equals 4. You need to have this on your paper. Can we do square root of 48? What's square root of 48? Type in your calculator, what do you get? 6.9. It's a decimal, right? And it's got some numbers that come after that. So really when we say 6.9, what we're doing is we're rounding it off. We want to keep this the same, but we still want to keep all the digits. It's kind of the same idea as simplifying fractions. Why do we simplify fractions? We need to get them in simplest form. So there's a method that we can use to simplify square roots. So square root of 48, that can be simplified, and let me show you how. Don't write this down yet, just kind of watch and follow along for a second. The thing that I have to stress is it's these numbers on the right that we're concerned with, and we start at the bottom of the list and we work up because we want the largest numbers possible to divide into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 48, and I'm like, where's 48 fall? In here, right? So in my calculator, I go like this. I type in 48 divided by 36. Is that going to come out to a whole number? No, it's not. And so I'm starting here, and I'm working my way up. 48 divided by 25. Does that give me a whole number? No. I go to my next one. 48 divided by 16. Does that give me a whole number? Oh, it does. So here's what I do. I take my 16 and my 3, and I rewrite this. I go 16 times 3 gives me my 48. You can write that on your paper. 16 times 3 gives us 48. And again, it's the one number from the right-hand side of the list. One of those numbers has to go in there, and then I'm curious how many times does it go in there. So I take this now and I break it apart. I'm like saying that's the same thing as square root of 16 and square root of 3, and they're basically still being multiplied together is what happens. So it's square root of 16 times 3 gives us 48. And then we can break it apart into two separate square roots. What's the square root of 16? 4. What's the square root of 3? It's like a decimal, right? Probably 1 point something. 1.7. We don't want that decimal, so I just bring this down. This doesn't simplify anymore, and that is my answer. That's in simplest radical form. This is called a radical. Good. Number 2. So it's the same idea. 75. Where does 75 fall? Somewhere in here. I'm going to start in here, and I'm going to work my way up. So I'm going to say 75 divided by 64. It gives me a decimal. 75 divided by, now I'm going to go with 49. It's a decimal. 75 divided by 36. It's a decimal. 75 divided by 25. Oh, hey, whole number, right? So what did I say? What numbers are going to multiply? 25 times 3. If you write this number that's on the list first, it'll just make things a little bit easier, because when we simplify, it's the first one that we take the square root of, and we don't get quite as confused. So it's 25 times 3 gives me my original 75. I can't change the problem. They still have to multiply together to get the original. Square root of 25 times square root of 3. I know it seems kind of tedious there, but you have to write every step, otherwise we're going to get confused in the process. People, they're like, oh, I've got this, and then they're rushing, and then that's where the mistakes come in. Square root of 25 gives us 5. Square root of 3 we can't do, so we just bring it down. How about number 3? I have square root of 12. Well, 12 is somewhere in between 9 and 16. So I go 12 divided by 9. Does that work? No? 12 divided by 4? Yeah, how many times? It's 4 times 3. 4 times 3 gives me 12. Square root of 4, square root of 3. Which one simplifies? Square root of 4 is 2, square root of 3. We'll bring it down. Number 4, square root of 16. Is 16 on my list? Oh, if it's already on the list, what's the square root of 16? 4. Okay. What's the square root of 36? Okay. Square root of 64. 8. Okay. Okay. You finish off the front side on your own. I'm going to come around and look at questions. Don't do the back just yet. I want to check the front with you, make sure we've got the front, and then we'll get the back. Divides into 20. 20 divided by 16. 20 divided by 9. 20 divided by 4. Yeah. We have 4 times 5 gives us 20. We break it apart. Square root of 4 is just 2. Square root of 5 we can't do, so we just bring it down. I look at 18. One of those numbers, as large as we can go, we have 9 times 2. Break it down. We have 3 square root of 2. Number 10, 32. I have to have one of these numbers over here. The largest one I have is 16 times 2. Square root of 16, square root of 2, square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 2 we can't do, so we just bring it down. What goes into 50? 25 and 2. Break it apart. So we have 5 square root of 2. And 27, 9 and 3. So break it apart. Square root of 9, square root of 3. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 3 is a funky decimal, so we just bring it down. Okay? Finish those off. Turn your paper over and work on the back. If you've missed some of them, make sure you ask me what you missed and how we do it.